Seeing none. All right, we'll move to reports and communications. Following reports and communication items are provided for council's information. No action can be taken on these items under this section unless the council agrees to include it on a subsequent agenda. We will start off with Councilmember Espandola, please.
Thank you, Mayor. It's really nice to be here in person with all of you. So it's good to be in the room together. With the Bi-County Homeless and the JPA, we haven't had a meeting, but I did talk to Diana, and one of the things about that is reaching out with Sutter County CAO to get a better understanding of the fiscal impacts with the overnight camping areas in the city. And as an ad hoc committee, we have not met in months. So perhaps there's a good opportunity to regroup as an ad hoc committee. The River Valley Air Quality Management District, my first meeting will be on the 22nd, so I'll be there for the first time on that. No meeting in the North Valley Integrated Regional. With the Regional Water Authority, our next meeting is March 11th. I did attend the Sutter Buttes flood control meeting, which there was quite a bit to cover in that particular meeting, and I'm going to just go through a couple of the highlights to share with my colleagues in the community. So the Sutter County Fema accreditation is in the process right now with Sabuca and the coordination with Sutter County, which will then submit a 100-year accredited package for the Southern Feather River levee, which reaches FEMA in the fall. So that will help with the insurance and the Sutter and the floodplains in the southern part of our area. Also, there's some work that is being done in Yuba City and Live Oak for the boat ramps and cleaning mitigation projects that are occurring. One really big piece of potential great support for our levees, even though it's been dry this year, but we need to be prepared. In November 2020, Sabuca submitted to Cal OES a notice of interest for funding to implement critical repairs along the Sutter Bypass East Levee. And so this notice of interest has been approved by Cal OSHA, and Sabuca has been invited to submit a full application, which is due on March 5th. And eligible sub-applicants which are selected will then be sent to FEMA and perhaps be funded by FEMA and eligible. If we're not funded, we get on the list, and the actual project is for $32 million, a request for design, permitting, construction of levee improvements to two of the three critical most sub-reaching protecting areas of the Southern Basin. And then lastly on that one, Butte County Supervisor Kimmelshoe is the new chair, and by mishap by my colleague, Councilman Harris, I am now the vice chair of that committee as well. So thank you, Councilman Harris, for that. So no other activities on my local assignments. I did participate, and I think we were all invited to a White House Intergovernmental Affairs meeting on the 4th of this month. The director of Julie Chavez Rodriguez was present on that. Former Ambassador Roberta Jacobson of the National Security Council of the Southern Border Policy. Taylor Morin of the Domestic Policy was part of that, and part of the areas that they were talking about on discussions of how workforce and employment visas were discussed, in particular because our region is a large agricultural base, so some of these decisions may impact our area. Ali Zadie, who is the White House Deputy National Climate Advisor, was there. There was discussion in reference to the water and infrastructure and the need for the emphasis that will be placed on cities and regions with a higher poverty and disadvantaged communities, since Yuba City qualifies under some of these particular guidelines, and because we're an entitlement for CDBG funding. So I submitted a question to Mr. Saheed, in which I asked him, the question was, is cities having an opportunity for flexible funding to assist with expenses incurred due to COVID because of water? We have put some of our consumers are not able to pay for their water expense, or also for assisting with housing and businesses and future funding for infrastructure. And the answer was a high-level answer in reference to the American Rescue Plan, that is that there's funding set aside for situations like ours, and I hope to attend future meetings if invited again. So lastly, I do want to say that I want to do a special shout out to our Yuba City Fire Department. If you haven't seen the love video that they produced, it's really, really, hey Chief, you're back there on the teams, Alexander. I know that your team did a really nice job, and I just want to publicly thank you for your work on that. And also the regional work that you've done with Alexandra Mosarillo from Yuba County PIO Department, helped put this together and supporting our regional support and collaboration work on hopefully making some headways here with COVID. And one major thank you and gratitude and thank you to Diana Langley. You are such an exemplary leader, such a servant heart, genuinely care about the well-being of our city staff, our executive team, our community. Your family has been completely supportive. And I thank your family for doing this for us for almost 2 years, Diana, almost 2 years. There's been gaps in those 2 years, but you have done this for us. And I cannot say how grateful I am to have worked in this capacity with you for these last years. And it's a measure of character that I strive to be in your example. So thank you so much. And that also the work that you do with our executive team, they're so trustworthy with you. They work really hard. Every single executive team member, Spencer, Natalie, Brad, Ben, our fire chief, Alexander, police chief Landon, they work so close with our team. And we couldn't have done as much as we've been able to do that because of our team and the executive. But with that, it also includes all the city employees, every single city employee, because without Sierra and Brian and Judy and all the legwork that is done to produce and put these meetings together for all of us, it could never have been done as well. But it's been your leadership, Diana, that has moved us along. And with Shannon, our city attorney, being by your side in every way. And so I know we're transitioning into a new era, I would call it, a new beginning or a new chapter, right? And Dave Vaughn is here with us, and I welcome the change, the opportunity, and I just wanted to thank you and give you the full recognition, because it's really not the city council or myself that does the best work for the city. It is you, it's our executive team, it's the city employees, and the community benefits so much from that. And I just genuinely thank you so much for the work that you've done.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Harris.
Yeah, thank you. Just over the last couple of weeks, I had the opportunity to meet with the mayor and Diana, members of SACOG and their consultant regarding a transportation study. SACOG is working to benefit our regions. Our primary concern was transportation related to commercial areas of development, also trucks. There's a lot of opportunity to improve the way goods and services are moved throughout the city, and so we had a good opportunity to discuss that. Also met with the mayor and members of the Regional Housing Authority. We primarily discussed pending and proposed Richland Village project, as well as the opportunities to enhance communication with RHA regarding future and current projects. I did have an opportunity also to go on a little ride-along, if you will, with their finance director, Mario Cruz, and Gus Becerra of Regional Housing Authority, and they showed me probably half of the projects, current and pending in their sphere of influence, if you will. I did not have the time to get up to Grass Valley or Live Oak or out in Colusa County area, but from what I did see, it was very interesting and eye-opening. It was a good benefit to put eyeballs on all those projects and have some frank discussions with them. So I'd also recommend it from all my friends here to do the same thing. And more to follow on all of that. RHA stuff and SACOG stuff as things progress. More on SACOG, I'm on the member of the Strategic Planning Committee. It was primarily a get-to-know-you first meeting of the year for the new members. Continuing with our focus on vibrant places, connected communities, and of course, economic prosperity. That meets quarterly throughout the year. Basically just gives focus to where we go on our blueprint for progress. The SACOG Land Use and Natural Resource Meeting, another, one of the first meetings of the year. So introductory all the way around to the new versus old members. One of the primary things we discussed was part of that land use and natural resources, and of course SACOG in general. We do the airport land use compatibility, and there's a study pending on that. This one, what we discussed was regarding Mather, future development in that area, Mather Air Force Base, or former Air Force Base. I had a meeting, the first meeting, the school district liaison. Diana did a really good job explaining the projects we have going on in the city, specific to things related to schools, not the least of which were the two items we recently talked about, improvements along Walton and also from the bike path south on Harder to Highway 20, both of which will assist and make things safer for kids getting to school, one to River Valley and the other one down to Lincoln, and in some cases, was that AK there? So the list goes on, roadway improvements, a lot of things going on in the city designed to not only benefit traffic, but pedestrians, and most importantly, of course, our children getting to and from school. So I'm looking forward to being a part of that committee as well. And that is it. Thank you for having my back on Sabufka. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Kirchner.
Thank you, Mayor. Since our last meeting, something popped up on social media, and that was the anniversary, 4-year anniversary of the spillway disaster up in Oroville, and it kind of put things into perspective for me. I was up there shortly after that happened and was given a tour, and to think what it could have happened. I don't know if anybody's been up there recently, but it's absolutely amazing, the difference of what had happened to what it looks like now. So those just seeing those memories pop up on social media made me appreciate how very fortunate we were that the unthinkable didn't happen. The one board meeting that wasn't canceled this month was Yuba Center mosquito vector, and I had a great opportunity to meet some neat folks down there. One of the things that they've done recently is they've got some surplus property that they're selling at auction, including 3 pickup trucks, some ATVs, and some other miscellaneous items. There's progress on recruiting a vector ecologist. They had 2 applications for that, and a vacant MCT position. They had 11 applications for that. Also, the vacant Yuba County trustee position was filled by a John Link. Other activities, they purchased 3 new trucks through Givicki Ford, $24,300 apiece, and those were a competitive bid. Givicki beat out the bids from Sacramento, which was nice to hear. Something that has changed in how they do business is, recently in September, they've moved from spraying the rice fields to spraying the orchards, which apparently to date looks like it's working. And so they're very optimistic about that. Lastly, I'm really excited about this extension to our bike path, and looking forward to seeing everybody out there on it. And that's all I have. What's that? Mr. Mayor, for you, I can get one. And that's all I've got.
Councilman Kushner, are you going to invite us to some sort of event?
It'll be on the handlebars.
Absolutely.
The Buttes, remember?
We should, yeah. Well, and that's a great question. Unfortunately,
What's happened?
I've been, usually this time of year, well, what is this, March? Usually this time of year is when you start seeing all these ride notifications
Right.
pop up, because everybody, every service club has fundraisers, and Bike the Buttes is one of those.
Right.
And I'm really hopeful that they're going to have it this year. But to date, I haven't heard
Okay.
anything. I know a lot of these are going towards more of a kind of a virtual. Yeah. So the big one in Chico, which usually is right around the same time as the Buttes ride, has decided to go that route this year. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed, because I hope to see everybody out there.
I'm riding the bike. I'm doing it. Are our colleagues doing it? Okay, just wondering. Get the tricycles out. I mean, the bicycles, sorry.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I'll just add on that bike, the only bike that you will find me on will have Screaming Eagle attached to it somewhere, because it's got a big engine under it. I'm seeing the thumbs up. So anyway, with that, Mr. Mayor, during the past couple of weeks, my meetings are kind of crunched. I've got those coming up later this week, but I did have the opportunity to meet with GSEC, and look forward to picking up a few projects that the former Mayor Harris was already working on with GSEC, and reporting back here in the future. So bring more opportunities up here to our area. So that's good. With that, I just want to echo the sentiments earlier. Ms. Langley, I said it last meeting, you've definitely earned the title of Master Cat Herder, because you have corralled everyone around for the past 2 years. Thank you. I think you'll find that sentiment across, that accolades, and you've been incredible. Thank you for your dedication, your service, your leadership, your humbleness, your insightfulness. I mean, need we say more? It's been an honor to have you as leading the E-team. And with that, not quite here, but I am extremely encouraged because he's not supposed to be here for another week. But Mr. Vaughn, our new city manager, is with us, and that's dedication. That's hitting the ground running. I'm really looking forward to what the future has before us, and what you'll bring to the executive team and our city team. And we just all need to rally together as a group and propel this city forward, because I think our greatest days are ahead of us yet. And that's just because of the dedication I see across the board from all of our team members who work for the city. We've got some good days and good years ahead of us. So with that, I'll have more next time, Mr. Mayor. And that concludes.
All right, thank you, Vice Mayor. It's been a pretty busy week for me with city-related stuff. I do also want to acknowledge Dave Vaughn's in the audience. Been working on his onboarding, which I believe he began today. It's quite a full schedule as he begins to integrate himself into the city structure. And so welcome aboard. It's like, they keep talking about drinking from a fire hose. I think this is probably more like a big water main. I don't know that it's a fire hose. But the meetings I attended, Councilmember Harris, I got to make sure I get this right, and I met with Sutter County supervisors, the chair, Dan Flores, and Matt Conant. It's an intergovernmental relations committee, which its intent is to continue to work collaboratively for things that are going on in Sutter County. I know one of the things that we chatted about, there was several, but one that was probably most important, and one that we all had participated in the past, was was visiting a few of our local businesses and just checking in with them from both a Sutter County and a Yuba City aspect. More on that and further on down here. As Councilmember Harris mentioned, we did meet with the staff of the the Regional Housing Authority. And I will tell you that I'm not going to go over what we discussed because Mr. Harris already has, but we will be coming back to this group in regards to the Richland Village project. So we need to take that up again and figure out what funding the city is willing to participate in. And they've got some things they're getting together for us as well. I have invited Mr. Becerra to come to present to the council, not in conjunction with an ask, but just on what they're doing. And he has agreed to do that, so we'll get him scheduled down the road here. Vice Mayor Shaw and I have participated in a meeting with the Budget Ad Hoc Committee. And again, we owe some information back to this council on that. We're working through some things. We've asked for some more clarifying information, and Spencer and Diana and Lynn Hale have been very gracious in providing that information. But we will be coming back to the council with some budget stuff here in the not too distant future. Again, the SACOG meeting with Lon Hadamia's consulting group and James Corliss from SACOG. Exciting stuff. They have money. They're interested. We just have to give them something to take a look at. And there was a good discussion. This is a regional effort. So in regional, I don't necessarily mean that it's something that's just this huge region, but they're very interested in doing something up here in Yuba and Sutter counties as it relates to growing business and economic development. And there's some exciting projects, I think, that we can bring to the table. Did meet with the city manager and Mr. Phil Treener, and it was a good meeting. As you know, we have an issue with biosolids, the disposal of such. And Mr. Treener has presented and has perhaps an option for us to consider down the road as we begin to deal with the long-term issue of getting biosolids taken care of out of our wastewater treatment plant. I do want to take a moment to, and perhaps I'll lean on you, Diana, just to give a brief update on where we're at with the Master Tax Exchange Agreement. I know that you're involved with that, but I believe the council is probably interested in hearing where we're at.
Yes, so the Bogue Stewart Master Plan Master Tax Exchange Agreement, the draft was provided to the county a couple of weeks ago, and it's my understanding that the county has routed it to their consultant and county council, and those comments back are back to Steve Smith, and so he's now preparing the comments to submit back to the city.
So we're hopeful that we keep talking about nearing the finish line. It would be very helpful to get this wrapped up, as I do believe, and Mr. Moody, you can confirm this, is that we're looking at a potential annexation in March at LAFCO for a piece of property. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. No.
They're trying to bring it in March. I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay. Irregardless, we want to get the Master Tax Exchange Agreement taken care of. It's been a long project for us. I do want to touch relationship to development impact fees. It's been reported in this chambers that and other places that the reduction that this council authorized in the development impact fees has definitely made an impact in interest in development. There are a few things that we need to take up in the future. One is some conversation with Sabufka in regards to fees that they're currently charging. Another is discussions with the school district, and that's just a matter of the vice mayor and I getting some dates to the city manager so that we can get those discussions going. And in reality, for us as a council, is to review our growth policies. We need to bring that back forward. So don't have a specific timeline in that, but that's on a work program or a work list coming forward, along with just a review of our city priorities. I do want to take a moment. I think Councilmember Espandola reached out and to acknowledge the work of the fire department and Chief Alexander in regard to some work they're doing for, I call it critical incident stress. Some call it PTSD. There's a lot of different acronyms for it, but they are taking some fairly significant and important steps in dealing with individuals who are in public safety who experience traumatic incidents and have and experience difficulties. And it's something that used to be hidden, and it's something that is extremely valuable, not only for the members who may be affected, but of course the families that they live with too. Couple other things real quick, and actually three. There's three things that I think that continue to be top priority for the council, or in the top priority. One is economic development, and at this particular point in time, Vice Mayor is working with GSEC and the EDC to work to align those efforts on our behalf of the city. But I also, as each day goes by, there's more and more interest, I think, in retention. What are we doing to retain businesses that we have in the city, especially under the stresses of COVID-19? So an idea that I want to bring forward, it's going to take a little bit more effort to flesh out, is basically putting together a task force. And this task force goal would be to actually reach out to businesses on behalf of the city, not on behalf of any of the other agencies that are doing the same, but what are we doing as a city to reach out to our businesses to find out what it is that they need from us or what we can do for them. And so I'll be looking to establish that task force as well as staff that task force. The other is when we've chatted about this, and I know Council Member Espandola and I have done some preliminary work on this, but that is, and this ties into Council Member Kirchner's comment of a minute ago, which is emergency planning. I have a belief that we need to make sure that we're as on top of our game for emergency planning as a city as we possibly can be. And so at a not too distant future date, again, yet another ad hoc committee that will be Councilmember Espandola and myself beginning the process of working with the city staff in regards to making sure that our emergency planning is getting the prioritization that it needs to. And again, it ties in perfectly with the anniversary of the dam incident. Long-winded for me tonight, but I'm going to echo the thanks, the heartfelt thanks, and the extreme respect that I have for two individuals. First, Shannon Chaffin, our city attorney. He answers a lot of our calls at all times. I recently have had the opportunity to have to call on Shannon for several different things, and he's been very accessible and very patient, and I think he's doing a wonderful job for the city, so I want to make sure and call him out for that. And of course, last but certainly not least, and I know she hates this, but to our interim city manager, who has been extremely instrumental in shepherding this city through the last few years with some stuff that no one ever dreamed that we would be experiencing. So again, to both of you sitting up there, my deep appreciation, respect for your professionalism, your accessibility, and patience. And with that, I believe we're going to adjourn to closed session. And we will talk to you all after closed session.